Whenever you feel that feeling of I'm annoyed, challenge yourself to think, I don't like the feeling of being annoyed. The answer is in me not getting him to not do something that annoys me. It's my perspective that needs to be altered, adjusted a little bit. Why does that annoy me? It's not like you have to make things in your life so perfect that nothing annoys you. That just can't happen. It's not going to happen. So challenge the annoyed feeling, like, oh, I'm feeling annoyed again. What's going on with me?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fascinating Womanhood channel, where we talk about everything that has to do with femininity and building strong, long-lasting, loving relationships. I am Cherry Lynn, and I am here with my mom, Dixie Andelin Forsyth. Hi.
Hi.
We're excited today to talk about a subject that is part of a series that we're doing on character. The character series is inspired by chapter 18 in your book called Character. And it's been really fun that we've been able to go through all of the character traits that you mention in your book and do a video for each one. And so today we're really excited to do Radiating Feminine Happiness. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
It's letting people know that you're kind of pleasant to be around is part of it. Is even if you just lost a loved one, you're just beaming with happiness. It's also combined with deep inner happiness, which is something that it means that you can roll with the punches in life more. You have more of a positive general attitude about things. And you can learn to do this, because if we think that we're going to wait to be happy until our life gets smooth, it's just not ever going to happen. It just doesn't happen for anybody.
What about when you're not feeling happy? Are you saying that women should try to fake happiness?
No, I think you should try to treasure hunt for what it actually is, and the things that keep you happy overall. It's a positive outlook rather than that nothing, your life is smooth, because nobody has smooth lives. No one does. You may think they do, because on outward appearances they may have money and maybe fame. They may seem to have this perfect thing, but nobody actually has that in every area of their life. They just don't.
You know, this can be more difficult for different personalities, when you say?
Oh, yeah, the more sensitive you are. I mean, and women tend to be sensitive creatures. And, you know, because we're so relationship oriented.
And I think the point of this video isn't to have to say we all need to be this one thing in this one box called a happy lady. And you need to try to always be. That's not what it is. It's about taking your, like you mentioned, your struggles, your trials, and truly trying to push through them without just essentially emotionally collapsing, and everyone around you knows that you're collapsing. And you know, the woman that is feminine and happy, like that's what we're all striving to kind of build our character. That's the woman that you want to be around. That's the woman that you want to be. And
right.
We all know that woman, right? The woman that's just beaming happiness all the time. I wish that I could be that way. I know I will never be exactly like that. That's not who I am. But I strive to be a better version of myself. And that's what this is about, is striving to be a better version of who you are, whether that means bubbly or whether that means just pleasant. That happiness makes you a very valuable human.
One of the examples that we, both of us, thought of that's a great example, is the character of Melanie in Gone with the Wind, Melanie Wilkes. She is a very kind person, but she truly looks for the best in others and tries to find something to appreciate or be grateful for. And she does it a lot with the way she always serves people and is always kind.
I've always admired you so. I wish I could be more like you. You mustn't flatter me, Melanie, and say things you don't mean.
Nobody could accuse Melanie of being insincere.
And because she's kind, she's not angry. Whereas Scarlett O'Hara is a very complex character, and she's quite alpha, as we want to use that term. And she's not a bad person, but she reacts totally differently to the stressors, which in this case was the Civil War. And it was amongst them. It was all around them. They weren't back in another state where there was no Civil War. It was all around them, and they lost loved ones, lots of them. But the character of Melanie Wilkes, everybody liked being around her, and everyone gave her credibility and trusted her.
I know a gentleman who says you're a human being. If you are, which they ain't, you'll take my money for the hospital.
What are you doing here? Haven't you been told twice already?
This time I'm conversing with Miss Wilkes.
I'm sure you're very generous.
No, some folks here wouldn't feel that way. But maybe they ain't as good Christians as you.
Yeah, and she had, you could see when you watch that film, she had radiant and deep inner happiness. She had both of those qualities.
Now, I will say, I'm sure a lot of women might be watching this and saying, well, that's just not my personality. This is hard for me. And it is hard. It is. It can be very challenging, especially when you're thinking about how you're appearing to other people. And what I love about using the movie Gone with the Wind as a visual example is that you do see the two side by side. You see the two personalities. There's other women in the film, but the two main characters, you see them side by side and how they handle the exact same situations differently. And Scarlett's life ends up being so much more challenging and difficult and sad because this is just one of the reasons, I think, is because of how she handles conflict and challenges in her life. And if she had, I think at the end, she realized a lot of it. The very, very end of the movie, she realized, when Melanie dies, like, I just wanted to be like her. And I wish I were more like her. And she said some other things. I can't remember what she said, but I think she had these light bulb moments at the end of the film. And I know it's just a story. It's a good example of what we're talking about.
We've all known people that have those qualities, though. That's why it resonates so much with us.
Had Scarlett developed that better sense of happiness, I'm not saying copying Melanie, but if she just developed that
her
better
own version.
Her life would have been so much easier and so much better.
Her romantic life, especially. I mean, she
probably wouldn't have collapsed.
Yeah, she didn't recognize how unsuitable Ashley Wilkes was for her and how suitable Rhett Butler was. She could have avoided a lot of the trauma that she went through.
So we're going to go through 5 things that you can do, very easy things that you can do.
Very easy and free.
Yeah, things you can practice because it takes some time to practice these things. And then at the end of the 5, we're going to talk about a challenge that we're going to put forth to everyone that wants to work on this for their building their character. So what's number 1?
The number 1, smiling, easy, free. When you realize smiling is easy, it's free, and you may make someone's day that you smile at that you never see again. Hand those out. Even if you feel personally kind of sad inside, you can put on a genuine smile because you recognize that other people, everyone, has their own burden to carry.
And think about this in terms of the ladies watching this, and think about your husband and how he sees you smiling more. What do you think that does for that man?
Men like to feel like they're taking care of the woman in their life. And if she's continually depressed and unhappy all the time, it kind of makes them feel like they're failing. And even if you're going through a lot, like a real easy one is you've lost somebody close to you. There's been death in the family. You don't have to be kind of a picture of depression all the time, because you can gain some balance of where that fits into life and your life, and balance that out with other things you have that are a blessing to you.
Putting on a smile at home is no different than going to a job every day and smiling to your coworkers. And you put it on, maybe you don't want to be at work, or maybe you don't want to, maybe it's church, maybe you're just having a bad day and you don't feel like smiling. You put that on for people around you all the time. You go to the grocery store and the person checks you out, you might smile at them. Maybe you don't feel like smiling, but you do it anyway. So trying to practice doing it anyway in your home is, to me, no different. And it's going to help you get back upstairs.
Right. And stay there longer. So the next one is gratitude. Gratitude, we talk about this. We've talked about it before. We will talk about it in the future because it is so key to happiness in your life, because each of us, no matter what we're going through, no matter where we live, we have many things to be grateful for. The very least is our ability to breathe, that we're alive, and that we have people in our lives that care about us, at least to some degree. We have, to one degree or another, health. You can be grateful that you have, that you can walk, that you have hands, and there's all kinds of things to be grateful for, let alone things like a place to live, the freedoms that you might have that you maybe take for granted. There's thousands of things to be grateful for that each of us have that we maybe just take for granted.
Right. And in terms of this just being something you're doing every day, I think it's just about being in the habit of reminding yourself. And you don't even have to say it out loud if you don't want to, or you could journal it, but it's just about getting in the habit of feeling grateful.
It's a habit, and you can develop habits, as we know. I think Bob said it's like 3 weeks, takes 3 weeks of regular use to develop a new habit. Every time Bob hugs me, I feel grateful for him. I think I'm so grateful that I have him. You can allow yourself to be grateful for your children if you have children, or your job if you have a job. It's just really endless. But when you feel gratitude, it lifts the pressure of depression, because you can't have depression and gratitude at the same time. Number 3, positivity. Now, Bob is better at this than me. But I have to work more on gratitude than Bob does, because he's more naturally good at both those things. Bob often challenges me to say, well, what's the good side of what you just said? What good could come out of it? It's kind of hard to think of what good could come out of higher taxes, but I'm sure there's stuff out there. There's always a positive side.
I think it's not about faking positivity. I think it's about genuinely looking for positivity. And I think that's a big misconception. And I think I even see it portrayed in the media and in movies and in TV shows, that the person that's always positive is kind of the down one.
Hi, kids! Patty Simcox, the bad seed of Rydell High. Hi! Oh, I just love the first day of school, don't you? It's the biggest thrill of my life.
You know, the one that's the last laugh is on that person that's positive. And that's the reason why that joke is on that person, is because they might be doing it in a fake way, or they might be approaching it in a way that isn't genuine. And when you look at fake positivity and you look at genuine positivity, the two are just so different. And we're talking about genuine positivity, meaning you are looking for these things. You're trying to actually look for the good. And that's
treasure hunting again. It's treasure hunting again. And you can get really good at this, finding, like, if you allow yourself to say, I really hate that this happened today. And you can tell yourself, what good could come out of this? And you start treasure hunting for that. And you actually think about it, and you think of something that could. And if you can think of 2 things, even better. The stress of that feeling starts to dissipate, because of your attitude. Bob says all the time, the greatest war you'll ever have in your life is up here in your head, within yourself, not another person. It's us.
And you know what? We've all known that person, at least I hope. I've known those people that are good at this, and I want to be around them all the time. Mm-hmm. I can't have enough time with people like this that have figured out how to do this. And I think it's a huge part of being a feminine woman. A feminine woman is not a woman that's, sad all the time and looking for the negative. So I just think positivity, I know it's so cliche and it's talked about so much, but genuine positivity is just so, so, so important.
And we all live on the same planet. And if some people figured out how to do this, sometimes we think that those people just have blinders on and don't look at reality. That isn't true. Now, maybe there's some people like that, but the ones I'm thinking of know the other stuff.
Yeah, and they strive for it. It's almost like a personal code.
Yeah.
I have a friend that is very positive, just always positive, genuinely. Really smart girl. And I know that she struggles. I know that things are hard. But I know her so well that I know that it's something that she pushes for. I am going to be this way. And I think it's great. And I've always admired that in her. All right, number 4.
Sense of humor. And this is so important. I've got a brother, I'm very close to him, who is so good at this. Actually, our family I didn't realize it till other people told us.
You're good at it.
I think it's because we all feel stress enough that we naturally go to humor as a stress reliever. And I've got 2 brothers that are physicians. The one goes to that all the time with patients, because patients are suffering and feeling all kinds of stuff and have all kinds of stuff happening. And you can see his mind working when he'll tell me a story about, I had a patient that this happened to, and this was my response. It was something humorous. And he always gets them laughing. But one time, not long ago, he had a patient that was complaining that at a couple of other bigger hospitals, all they were treated was like a number. They weren't treated like an actual personal human being. And he said, oh, that's really too bad and everything. As he was leaving, he said, see you next time, number 11. And she just laughed and laughed, because he kind of made it humorous. When you can sit around and laugh about things and laugh at yourself about silly things that have happened. Remember when we did this and this happened, and sit around, and whenever you're laughing, if you notice, look inside, you don't feel the stress. Laughing relieves you. It feels great. So sing the humor in everyday things.
This one you've always been really good at, and it's something that I've struggled with a lot. And the only time it can help me is when I surround myself with people that are good at it. Mm-hmm. And then I can somehow join in. So learning how to be the leader of this and being the one that, others want to come to. It's hard. It's hard, but I think you can get it with practice. And I think that, you can always just watch something funny or listen to something.
Well, when you're with your sisters, you do it all the time.
Well, that's because they are good at it.
Yeah.
They're very good at it. I think a lot of high-strung people might be watching this, and some of these things are hard. Like the positivity is hard when you're high-strung. The sense of humor is hard when you're high-strung. But that's why we work on it.
That's why we work on it, and we can. And that's why we watch comedies, to help us unwind and to relax.
Part of radiating happiness in a genuine way is getting yourself upstairs, and laughter gets you upstairs. That's why.
It always does. It always does.
And then the last one.
Last one is charity. And charity, some people think free stuff to people who have less. Charity is actually service to others that you can do, that you don't require any payment, even a thank you for. And when you serve other people, even in small ways, if somebody drops something at the store, you pick it up and give it to them. That's a type of charity. And when you look outside yourself and do something for another person, you're always happier, because you're not thinking about your own problems when you do that.
I think this one is really big for me when I saw it on the list and we were talking about it. When in your marriage, if you are upset or you're stressed out, you're going through a difficult time, maybe you're upset with your husband, maybe you've been going through a tough time, doing things for him will help you to repair that, and to show him, your charity towards him will not only help him to kind of see you in a different light. You've said this a million times, like if you're upset with him and he left his socks on the floor, just pick them up and put them away anyway. That's doing something for him, and it will help you to not feel so weighed down by those things.
Well, and when you're feeling the feeling of annoyed, like you mentioned the socks, whenever you feel that feeling of I'm annoyed, challenge yourself to think, I don't like the feeling of being annoyed. The answer is in me not getting him to not do something that annoys me. It's my perspective that needs to be altered, adjusted a little bit. Why does that annoy me? It's not like you have to make things in your life so perfect that nothing annoys you. That just can't happen. It's not going to happen. So challenge the annoyed feeling, like, oh, I'm feeling annoyed again. What's going on with me? Instead of him. And that's also a type of charity.
I think it has so many benefits. The benefits of being charitable. And I think we could have a whole video on charity, because I think a lot of people view that as different things. And maybe that could be another one that we get kind of deeper into. But I think, service in general is just there's so many benefits of service. And I think sometimes it can be kind of restricting, and then you start to feel trapped and that you're in this box, but it's actually, there's so many things that you can do. Like you said, picking something up, opening a door, like there's so many things, thousands of things.
Well, or if something simple, relatively simple, like if your neighbor, somebody that you can't just get away from, your neighbor does something that really is rude, not doing something rude back, being consistently kind to them. Because those feuds like that can escalate into something terrible if you let them. But you can be charitable towards that person and refuse to retaliate and get into some kind of an altercation with that person. And it doesn't have to escalate into this feuding neighbors thing.
You're never going to say, I wish I had argued, you know, you're never going to.
I wish I'd punched him in the face.
You're never going to regret not arguing with someone or saying something snide back.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've gone through the 5, we're gonna put out a little challenge for anyone that wants to really work on their radiating their happiness. Do you want to talk a little bit about where this came from?
My bubbly sister, Kristine.
I think that we have a joy in life that is pretty important. And when we talk about femininity and everything, I had someone give me advice years ago when I was raising all the kids and, you know, trying to find my bit of joy in life. She says, what you need to do is write on a piece of paper or in your journal or somewhere, like 20 things you love to do. They don't have to be big things. One of the things is I like looking through my doilies. I like just picking them up and taking that time. There's a particular pen I like to write with because of the way it flows. You know, I like to go out and sit on my swing in the backyard. So write simple things that you love and write them down. And every day, do 3. Stop and do 3. It takes, you know, picking up the right pen to bring me joy. And when we do, instead of focusing on all of our problems, we kind of flow through them a little bit more because our outlook towards life is a little bit better.
Well, you can do that with something that you feel pretty in. If you're feeling a little bit down, you can say, I'm going to wear this today because I always feel pretty when I'm in it.
Yeah, and you know, I actually wake up and I say, what color of day is it today? And I have my clothes organized by the colors. Mm-hmm. And today I just felt like this one. And it just brought me joy to put on my clothes. Thanks for asking me to be on.
Oh, thanks for doing it. I know you're very busy. Thanks, Kristine, and we'll see you soon. And she's used it her whole life, and I thought it was kind of neat. And she said she never told anybody about it, but when I said, well, how do you do it? She thought about it. And if you do this for 14 days, especially when you're in a stressful situation or forever, you can see how it changes your life. The things that work for her may not be, you think, oh, I would hate that. But for her, but the point is they're all small. They're things that even when you have children, like for her, there were times when her life got chaotic and 5 minutes in the bathroom alone gave her some peace. And sometimes that's hard.
I like the idea of choosing 3 things per day because it gives you an assignment in a sense to say, okay, I have to have, and maybe it's the same thing every day for all 14 days. Like for me, something that brings me a tiny amount of joy, but it's such a small thing, is having a candle lit in my house all day.
I don't know. You mean with fragrance in it? Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that makes me happy. It might not make other people happy, but it's a small thing that I can do for myself, and it doesn't cost much. And I love it. It makes me feel better.
Read a few pages from your favorite book. If you like tea or something, put that in a pretty mug, and something that you like instead of just some old thing that's chipped up that you just use daily. Give yourself the pleasure of the cute one, or there's so many things you can do, just small things. She looks forward to those things. When I get this done, I'm going to read those pages in my book, or I'm going to have my tea in that pretty mug. It's part of self-care.
It is, and self-care has so many benefits. And this is basically, it's kind of like a self-care challenge, but what we're hoping that you'll be noticing from doing it is how much happier you feel as a result.
When 3 in a day is enough, you might say, I'm going to wear these shoes that I love. I'm going to wear them today because when I look down at my feet, they make me feel prettier.
Or tonight when I go to bed, I'm going to put on my fluffy robe and read a book or watch a movie. Like maybe that's one of the things you do, just one of the days. You can mix it up.
Or spray room freshener around your bed just before you get into bed. Something small. And no one will even probably notice you're doing it.
Right. Exactly. I love this idea of doing 3 a day. I think it's really smart.
3 a day. Yeah. So give yourself the challenge if you can.
Well, this has been really fun and really helpful. I hope that everyone out there enjoyed it. And we would love to hear from you, especially if you are interested in joining the challenge. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you plan to do. Or if you've already done it, let us know what you do on a regular basis. Or any other tips that you have about radiating happiness on a regular basis. We'd love to hear from you. I'm attaching all of the links for Dixie's books and workbooks. Be sure to check all those out. We have a brand new cover, and we also have a brand new book that came out in February. So definitely check out all of our books.
Yeah, and the new edition has an index along with the new cover. It has an index so you can look stuff up.
Yeah, definitely check that out. We're also really active on social media, so definitely check out all the places that you can find us on Facebook and Instagram down below. And we're here every week, so don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you know when our videos are released. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.